Quality of movement is the major modifiable risk factor in injury prevention when we talk about sedentary lifestyle. So what do I mean by quality of movement? Well, let's first of all define what's quantity. Quantity is how many times you took a step, how far you took the step, how many times you took a rest from work, and for how long, and all the things that we just can quantify. Quantification is important per se, right? But if it's the only thing that counts, it becomes very, very superficial, and a lot of things that are completely essential are lost in the debate. Now, quality of movement, you need to understand, first of all, there is no movement without sensitivity, right? You can't do something without closing the loop. If you're blind, and if you don't have any tactile or any other sensory input, you can't move, right? I'm trying to exaggerate to understand, but we need to understand that there is a very strong relationship. We actually do not understand how much we can actually evolve emphasizing the sensory part of the feedback, like being done in the somatic artwork of Hannah and Feldenkrais and other. So let's take us a practical example, right? Sitting. So while we sit, right, I would say, first of all, if we connect that with context, what is the context of sitting? What do I mean by that? Are we just a sack of potatoes and searching for that comfortable / letting go from the muscular activity that is just molding ourselves on the chair and hoping that the ligamentous part that attached to our bones just take the part? I just want to say there are no free meals. We are built to use our muscles 99% of the time. If we use the right muscles, let's say the postural muscles for now. There are no free meals. So what is the context? And I would argue that there is another activation, right, in the health industry, in the academics, the way that we learn about the physiology of the muscular activation. We only speak about types of contraction, which are related to the length, right? Concentric, right, the shortening. Eccentric, just elongate it while there is still tension, you give away. And isometric, where you can create the most strong peaks of activation, where you don't produce any movement but you gain more and more tension. I would say there is another criteria for muscular activation. Let me even before giving it a how can I say that, a title, a definition, because for the majority of you it's completely out of your experience, so just giving it a definition won't help here. I would like to talk about the possibility of engaging from your core, and you don't understand still what do I mean actually by that, and having a light touch. Let's say you touch with the palm of your hand something and you're tension free, but not only that you are tension free, you have a very high sensorial input coming in. As much as senses it involves, it's of better quality, but also in respect of how much, if we come back to the idea of the context, how much are you in touch with it in a way that you can, with the center of your mass, but in a graceful of a butterfly, move that thing that you touch without exerting almost any muscular activity. It's like if you're touching something with the palm of your hand and your shoulders, it feels like you're being pumped with helium gas. Your entire body can have that sensation, but from the center, and when I say center, I will give a very quick definition. We talk about something which is at the level of the acetabulum and exactly sagittal in your axial body. If you put your attention in that area, if you really put your attention in that area and do other things, but mainly put the attention, you can actually change the way that the postural muscles in your axial body work. I mean, the way that you flex your elbow, it's not, you don't think of the bicep. If you think of the bicep, you will not create movement. You actually have an image in your motor cortex of moving the elbow. The same way, if you know how to, by tucking the pelvis correctly, by giving the attention to the height of the acetabulum, and moving and loading the hips that way, a bit intra-rotating, not really intra-rotating, but having the sensation of the intra-rotation of the hips, only the sensation, you could actually create a new motor plan with which the postural muscles can work. Now, this has been exercised in all the traditional arts in Japan and China and other places as well, and is something that let's say real realistic authentical arts from the Oriental has kept. It's interesting, it takes for most of the people that train them a few years really to do that, and I would like to find a better way that can, in few intensive weeks, can really make the difference. How to make the difference? First of all, what's the meaning in your life for that, right? It's like when I say meaning, I say also, it's for me, it's synonymous with biofeedback, right? Because our brain, our soul, everything is aimed to what's the meaning for it for me. You see something, you sense something. The electrical signs per se will actually not reach you if it doesn't have a meaning for you. Right? We filter all the time. We filter everything at all the levels. So I won't develop any further for this recording about the center, but I would like to say that there are there are applications which are, how can I say that, game-changing for the health industry in that respect. If you know how to reorganize your postural muscles using the concept that I just talked about, you can use the third law of Newton while you're sitting, the center is a neutralizing element. Your pelvis, if you tuck it correctly without tension, is actually letting go of a lot of the iliopsoas musculature and also the erectors of the lumbar part of the spine. And taking that energy, that perpendicular energy, and the resultant counter vector could be harnessed by all the spinal, all the postural muscles, and generate a floating sensation of the head. So it's not like in Alexander method or in Feldenkrais, actually, that you have an active tucking of the head in order to prevent the forward posture of the head, where you've got a lot of right to avoid the small occipital extensor muscles. I'm talking about something else. So this is coming from the idea, the third law of Newton in this respect, from Dr. Painter from Texas. He calls it the opposing dynamic forces. He is somebody to to be a reference point in everybody's life if he likes really to have an insight into health, martial arts, or any other positive elements. So that's a bit a small shout out for Dr. Painter in Texas. That's the www.gompa.com. I highly recommend it. So trying to wrap everything together, the idea of this recording was about the quality of, we talked about sitting, the quality of your movement, and not the quantity of your movement, in order to counter all the risk factors, the huge risk factors that coming from your sedentary life. So learning about the center, the way that I defined it, and gaining more sensitivity, which I will make a specific recording on, as part of the motor and sensitivity loop that we have, in order to gain more rich context, rich quality and context. That was my main thoughts about this very, very vast issue. So I thank you very much for listening and have the patience. I am Eilon Mogilner from agelessmotion.com. Have a great life. Bye bye.